So now coming to your macro, I understand you're a producer and you want some headline, right? What's the macro impact of this, right? So macro impact, there are a number of ways. As I said, we are looking at only one aspect of the program. You only said we have multiple aspects. So do you know what's the GDP of India? Let me test you.
293 lakh.
293 lakh crore, right? So these are 40% of the population. What do you think roughly 40% of the population will contribute to what proportion of India's GDP?
40% of the
population. These days we talk about inequality. I'm a professor. Ultimately, I can't stop asking questions. So what do you think bottom 40% of the population will contribute? Roughly, you can say something.
Somewhere to 15-20%.
15-20%. Say 40% population contributes to 20% of GDP, 60% contributes to 80%. Okay. 20% of, remember this number, 20% of India's GDP. I said the default rate of these people is 12%.
That is from our paper.
From our paper,
your
hard work, data, data that you collected, right? So that's how much. So 12% of 20% of GDP is 2.4% of the GDP.
Yes.
You can keep it somewhere. 2.4%. So what are these 2.4%? 2.4% of of these of the GDP worth projects fail. They're not able to repay.
That's an NPA.
That's an NPA. Now NPA does not. Let's say some restaurant owner does not pay. Some street vendor does not pay. Some mechanic, garage shop person is not paying. Does not mean that they are jobless. They may find some job. So let's make an assumption to answer your macro question. Let's make an assumption that out of the NPAs, some 50% will remain jobless. Okay, 3 layers, remember. 20% is the GDP produced by these people. Okay. Now, out of 20%, 12% becomes NPA. Now, out of 12% of 20% is 2.4%, right? Now, viewers can pause and do these numbers, and I hope you're going to show this on screen. Right? Now, within this 2.4%, I am saying just because NPA doesn't mean that just because I default, I don't become jobless, right? Assume that 50% of those will be destroyed. These projects, those people cannot do anything else in that year.
So our assumption is
50%. 50% of that is 1.2%.
Correct.
1.2%, what's the GDP you said?
293.
293. Okay, you're so precise. I was about round figure 300 lakh crore, right? So 293, 1.2% of 293 lakh crore, right? Which is something like what? 3 lakh crore or something?
Correct.
Close to 3.3. 3.3. That would have been easy. Let's make 300 lakh crore. Let's add something to our GDP, right? So 3.3 lakh crore is the GDP that is lost.
Correct.
That is one assumption, right? We are saying 50%. Let's take another conservative assumption that 25% of the people who default sit jobless. They won't do anything. In that case, it will be half of this. Somewhere around 1.5 to 3.3 lakh crore of GDP is getting lost. Easy to remember? Now let's see what happens with Ayushman Bharat. From 12%, default rate comes to
8%.
8%, right? So same thing. Assume your 40% of the population contributes 20% of the GDP, right? Now instead of 12% default, it is 8% default, which is what? 1.6%.
Correct.
Where is that 1.6 coming from?
From the...
I know you're a producer, you're looking at views and all of that, what will happen?
The 20%.
You're not bothered about numbers, you're looking at how to increase our views.
Correct, the 20%.
Yeah, so 8% of 20%. That is 1.6%. Why 8%? Because of Ayushman Bharat, default rate has fallen from 12 to 8, right? 1.6%. Now 1.6% will be NPAs, right? Now let's make the same assumption. 50% of those are going to be unemployed, right? So you have 20%, 8% of 20% is 1.6%, and 50% of that is 0.8%. Again, out of your 300 lakh crore, I am not going to take your 293. So 0.8, right? 0.8 of 300 is 2,40,000.
Correct.
Right? So from your 3,30,000 or something, it comes to 2,40,000. And if you take a 25%, it will be 1,20,000. Correct? So basically, instead of 3,40,000 crore or 3,30,000 crore getting lost, now we are losing 2,30,000 crore. Right? Which is what? 1 lakh crore. Right? This is one an extreme assumption. Another assumption, it's some 50,000-60,000 crore. Conservative
let's say 60.
So let's say somewhere in between, 1 lakh crore or 60,000 crore, some 70,000-80,000 crore. You said how much did the government spend on Ayushman Bharat?
22,000.
22,000 crore. What is the GDP, incremental GDP that got created because of this?
Close.
People would have sat at home otherwise.
Yeah.
Anywhere between 60,000 crore to 1 lakh crore.
Yes.
So this is called fiscal multiplier, 3 to 5 times.
Yes.
Do you know what's the fiscal multiplier on a road?
No,
What's the best estimate, most optimistic?
No.
1.5. It ranges from 1 to 1.5, maximum 1.6, 1.5, not more than that. This is only on loan repayment 3 to 6 times of the money spent, right? So this is the fiscal multiplier. That means the 1 rupee that government is spending is creating so much of more GDP. That is why, like economists say government should spend on health and education. Right? This is why, some people don't like this economist saying, hey, spend on health, spend on health. So when you spend on health, the benefits are so much. Then, trust me, I'm just talking about only loan.
Yeah.
There are benefits coming from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So this is crazy.
Yes.
Right? So we'll continue
I think
this.
I've got my highlight.
Yeah, you got your highlight, and I'm sure you get some
headline,
thumbnail and
of
you
course.
put something now to attract viewers.
Yes.
So let's stop this here.
Sure.
Maybe I know you still have your skepticism, and that I can see that. So I'm sure you have concerns. We'll take it up next time.
Thank you.